Hello everyone. In this video, we will be seeing movie 1 of What If Deku was the son of Goku or Dark Fusion, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. So be sure to stick around till the end. Let's get started. Mulan stood trembling in fear as he watched the elder who tried to save him from lay face down in the dirt motionless. A dark figure kicks the body out of the way before grabbing Mulan by the neck and holds him so they're face to face. Mulan's tears ran down his cheeks as he looked at the emotionless red face of the man who caused the destruction and suffering in his village call the dragon Namekian, or watch the rest of your planet suffer. Mulan sniffled before finally giving in to Villian's demands, speaking in Namekian. I summon you by your name, Porunga. The 7 large dragon balls begin to glow as the skies darken. Lighting shoots across the sky and out of the balls and eventually turn into the eternal dragon of Namek, Porunga. The Villian smiles satisfied as the dragon appears finally. Porunga looks down at Mulan and the Villian, along with the other Namekians and alien invaders that look up at him in awe. But the bodies of the dead Namekians who attempted to fight the intruders remained unmoved. Why have you summoned me? Speak so that I may grant your wishes. The red-skinned invader turns back to Mulan. Okay, tell him to revive our master. Bring Potara back to life. Mulan obeyed and spoke the Namekian Taunj to the dragon revive Potara. Porunga looked down at the young Namekian deep in thought before speaking this wish. Cannot be granted. The red-skinned man tightened his grip on his staff as he frowned at the dragon. What do you mean you can't grant it? You're a dragon, aren't you? The only reason you exist is to grant wishes. Porunga growled lowly in response. I cannot grant your wish due to the simple fact I don't have the power or the authority. Not even Super Shenron of the Super Dragon Balls can grant such a wish. Care to explain why? Grumbled the Villian. Porunga replied by royal decree of the Omni Kings. None shall revive the one known as Potara for sake and safety of the multiverse. The Villian sighed and looked at the young Namek that was still tight in his hand. Fine. Then, I wish to be told a different method to revive my master. Mulan gulped and replied the Villian's words in his native language. Porunga crossed his arms very well. If you had access to a time ring, you could manipulate it such a manner that you could prevent the demise of Potara. The red Villian shook his head. You think I haven't thought of that? The destroyers and Kais would surely discover my plot if they discovered a time ring missing. That option is too great a risk. Even if I were to wish for my own time ring, the Omni Kings are sure to discover it even before I use it. Porunga hummed lowly. There is one other option. The Villian drops Mulan as he looks up at the dragon. I'm listening. Porunga sighs as he speaks on the planet known as Earth. The current population have abilities known as Quirks, superpowers that make them more powerful than the average mortal. The Villian sighed. Earth. You mean the planet my brother and Beerus visit so often? I can't risk going there either, but what's your point? Porunga proceeds with his explanation. There is a child with an extremely rare quirk that's become known as Reverse. Porunga produces a sphere and shows the Villian an image of small girl with white hair and red eyes with a small horn using her quirk to bring a dead flower back to life and in full bloom. The girl smiles happily with the result and hands the flower to a person with wild green hair before the image disappears. The Villian slowly grew a small smile, seeing the small display of the child's power that could work fine. He turned to one of his commanding officers. Captain, make contact with smugglers. I have a job for them. The captain nodded and walked away to perform his duty. The Villian slowly floated up, becoming eye level with Porunga. Porunga eyes him off. What is your second wish? The Villian grinned. I wish for you to die. He quickly tapped Porunga on the forehead, making let out a hellish roar before crumbling apart into nothing dust and the dragon balls becoming nothing more than useless giant stones. One of the soldiers gasped at his leader. Sir, why did you do that? You could have wished for the child here. The Villian landed quietly. True as that may be, we must think smartly about this. We don't want to draw unnecessary attention to ourselves. We must create a web for our enemies to become trapped in so that we can fulfill our plans. The serving Namekian cried in shock as they tried to process the fact that Porunga was destroyed effortlessly. The Villian looked at their crying faces before looking back at the soldier he was speaking to. No one survives. No matter. The soldier saluted before giving the order to execute all Namekians. Universe 7 Earth, the lookout. Dende collapses to the ground, breathing heavily and sweating profusely. Mr. Popo sees this quickly runs to his aid. Dende, what's wrong? He kneels beside him and helps him up and finally see the look of shock, horror, and pain. In his face and eyes, Mr. Popo, something terrible has just happened. Share the World. Performed by Mikutan Daniel Alvarez. Song begins up in space looking at the sun as its flames tries to escape from its orbit only to be sucked back in. I look up to the stars and reach for the sky. 7 balls fly past the sun heading toward Earth. I believe in tomorrow. If we try, hey, come on, let's go everybody. Oh, we share the music. Dragon Ball Heroes, Dark Fusion. We share the music. Come on, let's go baby. Oh, we share the one dream. Woof. The balls break through Earth's atmosphere and begin to crash into different locations. Come on, let's go everybody. Oh, we share the good times. We share the good times. Come on, let's go baby. Oh, we share the one world. Whoa. Izuku sits bedside Goku as they both dig into a bowl of katsudon. It's hard to see for you and me to see through the darkness that is in this world. Ochako stares at the both of them in surprise as Gohan face palms himself and sighs. So hard to see or to believe in where we need to go. Bakugo leans against the wall with his arms crossed and scoffs in annoyance with Vegeta standing beside him doing the same thing. Yes, you and me. It's true that we feel the rush brought on by this world. Kendo sits beside Piccolo, legs crossed both in a deep meditation, through the head to feet. I feel the beat taking me step by step. Oh yeah. The rest of the Z fighters and both classes 1A and 1 billion lay about, on the hillside under a tree, either talking amongst themselves or sleeping. Share the music, no matter what. Share the one dream, believe in yourself. Share the good times, take my hand now. Share the one world now. Shenron flies across the sky with Eri riding him, cheering in excitement. I look up to the stars and reach for the sky, no matter what. I'll try no matter how high. Izuku flies across beside Eri and Shenron smiling while Goku does the same on the opposite side with Goten and Gohan flying upside down looking down at Eri. So let us go, beyond far and wide. I believe in tomorrow if we try. Yeah. Shenron charges forward with his mouth wide open, roaring. Come on, let's go everybody. Oh, we share the music. We share the music. Goku stands with his three sons smirking together. Come on, let's go baby. Oh, we share the one world. Now! Goku, Izuku, Gohan, and Goten all launch a Kamehameha wave together. Oh, as we chase, we're being chased. For the top, we go on straight and while. Stills of the Kais and Destroyers scroll past along with some of UA's faculty members. We're on our way. I got to say, hey, I want to share your style. Now, here it starts, so don't lose heart. They are bound to lose to this flavor, from boot to hood. I feel so good, I will be free to be. Oh yeah. Stills of the past holders of One for All appear with Nana, All Might, and Gran Torino smiling proudly at the end. Share the music, even if far. Share the one dream, I know where you are. Share the good times, show us that smile. Share the one world now. A female figure in a green galactic patrol uniform stands sideways, staring down Izuku. I look up to the stars and reach for the sky, no matter what. I try, no matter how high. Izuku stands straight on wearing his hero uniform with a look of determination as he looks at the women. That has same hair color as him, but Kendo's hairstyle and a more feminine version of Izuku's face. So let us go, beyond far and wide. Alien soldiers zoom past and stop at the red-skinned villain before quickly zooming past him, looking at a light gray-colored female Kai that begins to grin devilishly. I believe in tomorrow, if we try. Yeah. Izuku activates full cowling and starts bouncing off walls, taking out alien soldiers. I know that you are there, just on the other side. Wait there for me. Soon it'll be you and I. Goku blocks punches and other attacks from the aliens and kicks them out of the way, while Bakugo dives over the top of him, tackling another enemy. Then, let us go, beyond far and wide. I believe in tomorrow, if we try. Vegeta and Piccolo fires ki, blasts at floating enemies the Uraraka is making. Float with her quirk and Kendo launching them upward with her large hands. Yeah. All students of classes 1A and 1B stand together in front of UA, along with their teachers and the Z fighters mixed in among them. Come on, let's go everybody. Oh, we share the music. Come, let's go baby, oh, we share the one dream. Piccolo, Kendo, Vegeta, Bakugo, Goku, Izuku, Gohan, Ochako, Goten, and Trunks stand at the front of the group in that order, smirking. Come on, let's go everybody. Oh, we share the good times. All Saiyans explode into their powerful transformations with Goku and Vegeta in Super Saiyan Blue, Goten, Trunks, and Gohan as Super Saiyan 2, and Izuku in Super Saiyan Green. Come on, let's go baby, oh, we share the one world. It all started in Shinking City, where a child was born emanating light. No one could explain what the cause of these powers was, and very soon Earth became a superhuman society with estimations of 80% of the population inheriting some strange ability. Except for me, I was born quirkless. For my whole life, I thought it was because I was a part of their rare 20% born quirkless, and that I wouldn't achieve my dream of being a hero. But then I meet the symbol of peace himself, All Might, and thanks to his guidance, he trained me and passed on his quirk to me. I then joined UA, began my journey to being a hero. But along the way, I meet my lost family, my real father Goku, and learned I was born quirkless because of my Saiyan heritage. Thanks to him, my half-brothers, and his friends, I grew stronger and unlocked power I wasn't even aware I had. Now I have the powers of two of Earth's greatest heroes flowing through my body. That was 2 years ago, and I'm still training hard to get stronger and live to the expectation they have of me. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is the story of how I became not only the greatest hero in the world, but in the universe, said Izuku. UA dorms, Class 1A. Izuku read his notes carefully as he slowly tried to copy his drawings and poses step by step. Okay, so have my knees bent like this, and fingers point like that. He continued to follow the steps, carefully trying to perfect it. Okay, so it's Fu, Sion, Ha. He completes the technique in his final pose before standing up straight. There's no real way for me to know if I got it right unless I have a partner to try it with. He says to no one but himself as he closes the notebook, accidentally knocks a special orb out of place, causing it to roll. Izuku hears the roll on his desk and reaches out, catching the object before it falls to the floor. He sighs in relief as he looks at the 4 red stars that are on the magical orb. He gently places it in his desk. I gotta find a safer place for that thing. He feels his phone vibrate and automatically pulls it out of his pocket to check on it. He sees he's received a text from Kendo saying that he's late for their sparring session. In a panic, he checks the time and comes to the conclusion that he is well and truly late. In a panic, he pulls on his orange GI since it was the first thing he saw and quickly activated his instant transmission. UA Gym. Kendo tapped foot, waiting impatiently. I sent that text 30 seconds ago. He should be here by now. Right on cue, Midoriya appeared in front of her. He quickly looked around to see her standing there, arms crossed. You better have a good reason for keeping me waiting, spoke Kendo. Izuku quickly bowed, apologetically sorry. I was caught up doing stuff. Kendo raised a brow. Was Uraraka involved with his stuff? Izuku instantly blushed and waved his arms around madly. What? No, nothing like that. I was just... Kendo let out a loud laugh. Ha 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 ha! Oh god, you honestly make it too easy. It works on Uraraka, so of course it works on you. Izuku frowned. You're hilarious. Anyway, are we gonna train? Kendo quickly wipes her face and nods, of course. Sports festival is tomorrow, after all. It's a last festival, and I want to see you in the finals, Midoriya. Although with the tricks, you know it's guaranteed. But I'm still gonna make you work for the top spot, spoke Kendo as she took up a fighting stance on the gym mat. Izuku smiled and took up his own stance. I wouldn't have it any other way. Otherworld. Nana continued pushing herself through the pain as she finally makes it to her final goal, 999, 10,000. She grunts as she completes her final sit-up and lays back, panting and exhausted. 10,000? I honestly thought you'd do more than that, spoke an over-energetic voice that made Nana roll her eyes. We aren't all born freaks off nature like you, Goku, she said, looking towards Goku himself. Hey, you're not one to talk. You born with weird powers. She raises a brow at him. And whose fault is that, may I ask? Goku scratches the back of his head, grinning. Hee, you got me on that one. Nana finally gets the strength to sit up and face the man. So is there a reason you're overheat judging my training? Goku crosses his arms with his stupid grin still on his face. Yup. You remember that little tournament we had a while ago? Nana thought for a moment, the one where we meet your long-lost son, who's my apprentice? Goku blinked. That's very specific. But yes, that one. She finally stands up to face him. Yeah, what about it? Goku continues smiling. Well, since I won it, I got the wish from the Super Dragon Balls. And I wished for all my friends and family to get a month pass to visit Earth. And that includes you. Nana couldn't help but smile. Wow, Goku. That's very kind of you. A whole month back on Earth. She begins to think about what she could do in a month. As the ideas flowed, the devilish grin on her face grew and grew. Oh, this gonna be fun. As a dead person, it's my duty to haunt people naturally. And I'm gonna make Toshi and Gran's lives a living nightmare. Goku scratches the back of his head listening to Nana's scheme. You know, for a professional hero, you're actually kinda evil. Nana shrugged. No one's perfect. Anyway, when do we get to go? Goku smiled. Tomorrow. It's Izuku's final sports festival, and I want to bring everyone to surprise him. Earth, the lookout. The Supreme Kai steps onto the lookout and admires the peacefulness of the place. He could easily sit down and enjoy a cup of tea, but that would have to wait. He has some business to attend to. He walks around and finally finds who he's looking for. Dende. I've found you. Dende looked up in response to his name and quickly approached the Kai. Thank you for coming, Supreme Kai, at no trouble at all, old friend. Now, how can I help you? Dende looked down, trying to figure how to explain the situation. It's my old home, Namek. I have this awful feeling that something has happened there. I really wish to check on the planet and make sure everything is fine, but I can't abandon my duties as guardian of the Earth. Kai nodded understandingly. And so you wish for me to investigate and check up on Namek? Yes? Dende nodded. Yes, sir. If that isn't too much to ask, of course. Kai waved his hand. It's no trouble at all. I'll return shortly and inform you of Namek's status. Dende bowed gratefully. Thank you. Supreme Kai smiled before teleporting to Namek. It isn't as fast as instant transmission, but still faster than any modern-age spaceship. Within a few minutes, he will be able to the Guardian of the Earth's worries to rest. At least he hopes. Inko stood out the front of the stadium waiting alongside All Might. You said to meet here, right? The previous holder of One for All asked. Yes, I was told to meet them all here, replied Inko. As if on cue, a large group of people appeared with one man in particular, standing out with a big grin. Hey, you two. Long time no see, spoke Goku, waving at the two. Everyone shared a monument, greeting one another, before Baba got everyone's attention. Now remember, you are here for a full month, 30 days to be exact, starting today. I expect you all back together to return to Otherworld on the 30th day. Understood? Everyone nodded in understanding, allowing Baba to take her leave. Bulma looked up at the stadium. In front of them, they sure are making a big deal out of this sports thing. I don't even remember the martial arts tournament being this huge. Indeed. I expect we're going to be in for quite the show watching these young heroes. Spoke Roshi, but quickly became distracted by a few female hero outfits. Particularly MT Lady, who is on patrol duty once again. All Might grabbed the attention of the Halo wearers. I have seats reserved for all of you in a private section of the stadium. I'll escort you all there now. All Might lead the way as Goku walked along beside him. Sotoshi, Izuku doesn't know we're here, right? All Might smiled. Nope. I kept it secret from the boy just like you asked. Goku smiled. Awesome. Can't wait to see him in action. It's been so long. Goku walked along with the rest of his friends and family until he heard a small voice. Goku! He looked around in confusion till he saw a little blue dress and white hair run at him and tackle him into a hug. He couldn't help but chuckle in excitement as he caught the little bundle of joy. Eri, you've grown so much, haha. Eri looked up at Goku with a big smile and her red eyes wide open, happily. Are you here to watch Deku win? Goku picked Eri and sat her on his shoulders. You bet. Aizawa walks over and approaches them. I see you made it. Can I trust you to look after her? Gohan stands beside Goku, answering sure thing. Not a problem. Aizawa nodded gratefully. Thank you. I don't know how, but somehow I got conned into commentating the festival with President Mike again. So I'll leave you all to it. Goku responded with a thumbs and continues following All Might to the stands, inside the stadium. Izuku stood in the center of the stadium with the rest of third-year students looking around at the cheering crowd. I don't think I'll ever get used to this, spoke Uraraka as she stood beside him. That makes two of us, he replied. Then Midnight walks out. All right, third years. It's time to begin with our first event, she announces as the event wheel begins to spin. Meanwhile, up in the stands, Roshi is losing control with his nosebleeds. What? She's a school teacher here? That's amazing. Incredible. Say, All Might, you think you could introduce the two of us? Chi-Chi, Bulma, and 18 sneak up behind him and punch him across the top of the head. Damn it, control yourself. Chi-Chi yelled. Honestly, he never changes, sighed Bulma. All Might blinks, looking at the commotion. He reminds me of a certain student, who I'm amazed managed to survive this long. The wheel finally stops spinning, landing on an obstacle race. And the first event is the lovable obstacle race. Of course, this won't be the same as last time. We're going to add a few more little treats for you all to keep you on your toes, spoke Midnight, licking her lips. Izuku began stretching and preparing for the race, but suddenly heard someone cheer. Come, Izuku. You do it, son, yelled Goku. Go, Deku. Cheered Eri. Be careful, sweetie, added Inko. As the rest of the Z fighters began cheering and showing him support, Izuku simply stared at the stands, seeing his father and family cheering for him. They're here. They're all here. He couldn't help but smile as his eye began to water up as he became overwhelmed with emotion. Uraraka smiled softly and rubbed his back. Oh, Deku. That's an impressive cheerleader squad you got there, Midoriya, spoke Suyu until Bakugo stepped in. I don't care who's cheering for him. You better give all you got, Deku. I'm gonna win this thing and mop the floor with you. Oh, sweetie. It's adorable you think you can beat Midoriya, said Kendo with a smirk. Shut up! And I told you not to call me that, yelled Bakugo. She's your girlfriend. She can call you whatever she wants, added Tokag. This is hardly a time to be having relationship discussions. We are all proud UA students. We should be focusing on the upcoming race, interrupted Ida. Midnight looked towards Snipes and nodded. Snipes nodded back and fired around in the air, signaling the start of the race. In a moment of panic, everyone charged for the exit of the stadium to get out. But just like before, everyone struggled to get through getting stuck. Only 4 still remained in the stadium, not moving, and simply watched the chaos unfold in front of them. Pan looked down at the stadium and up at her grandfather. Why isn't Uncle Deku moving? Because he's got a plan from the looks of it, replied Trunks before Goku could reply. Izuku looked to his side, seeing Uraraka, Kendo, and Bakugo waiting as well. Bakugo growls and fires a ki blast in Izuku before exploding into flight. Uraraka gasped, looking at Izuku to see that he's okay. Kendo quickly starts flying after Bakugo, with Uraraka following close behind. Izuku stands up smiling, so it's going to be like, that is a Kaken. Izuku leaps of the ground, leaving a crater in the ground, and flies over the top of the other third years, chasing after Bakugo. Bakugo grinned as he took the lead in the race with hardly any effort until a very large fist collided with his fist, knocking him to the ground. He picked himself and shaking his head. Ah, what the hell was that? He looked up to see his girlfriend smirking as her fist shrank back into normal size. You let down your guard, sweetie, she called out. Damn it, don't call me that, Ginger. Just as he was about to stand and take flight, he becomes surrounded and trapped in ice. What the hell? Damn it, Icy Hot. You know you can stop me. Todoroki runs past with his normal emotionless expression, I know that. But it'll slow you down, at least. Uraraka used her quirk on herself, which gave her the ability to fly faster, overtaking Kendo until she reached a large lake, and hears President Mike's voice over a speaker. All party pants have to jump in the water. No sneaky flying over trucks here, sports fans. Everyone has got to get their feet wet. Hearing that Uraraka quickly landed at the water's edge we got to swim across? That seems a little too easy. She spoke as Kendo landed beside her, both not feeling game to step into the water. Desperate to win, Sato sprints past the decay users and dives into water. He slowly starts swimming across until a large robotic shark jumps out of the water, taking him out and spits him back onto the starting point of the water section. Uraraka and Kendo stare wide-eyed at the water before slowly turn to Sato to see him clench his chest like he's had a heart attack. "So, what's your plan?" asks Uraraka. Kendo looks up at the coming third years racing towards them as she replies, "Wait for a distraction, or bait, if you prefer to call it that." Uraraka has looked at the others running at them and nodded, understanding her plan. Meanwhile, back in the stands, "What the hell? Why do you guys have a giant metal shark? I thought this was supposed to be a school," yelled Krillin in shock. "We train our students to be prepared for anything, to expect the unexpected. And beside one of the support students built that," answered All Might. Bulma looked at him. "A student built it? You're kidding me?" "He must have some talent." All Might smiles. "She does. Young Hatsum doesn't fear failure. Although I think she stressed out Power Loader a few too many times." Back on the course, Izuku could see the others catching up to Kendo and Uraraka. He deactivated his flight and dives straight into the water. Kendo blinks and turns to Uraraka. "Sometimes I wonder which one of us has the crazier boyfriend." Uraraka chuckled. "Deku is crazy, but Bakugo is just batshit crazy." A few students dive in after Izuku, unaware of the metal sharks beneath the water surface. Satisfied there's enough people in the water, both Kendo and Uraraka dive in. Izuku activates one for all, full cowling in his legs at a low percentage to give him some speed in the water, which turns out handy for dodging the metal jaws of the underwear robotics. Eventually, the metal beasts give up on trying to keep up with him and turn around to attack the other students. He explodes out of the water and lands with a tuck and roll, then continues running towards the next obstacle. Tsuyu speeds through the water and jumps out of the water as well, with Momo and Kirishima close behind. Izuku stopped at a cliff edge and staring into a thick fog. Tsuyu, Momo, and Kirishima run up and stand either side of him. "How the hell are we meant to get across that?" asked Kirishima, with Izuku smirking before replied, "That sounds like a you problem." He clenched his fist and performed a Texas smash punch, a clear view through the fog showing the opposite side. Izuku leaped across and flew through the hole he created before the fog ate him up, not to be seen again. The three heroes in training simply blinked, with Momo sighing seriously. "That guy is so overpowered." "Just a little," replied Tsuyu, as they all began searching for a way across, just as some other third years start making it out of the water. Among them are Kendo and Uraraka. Seeing the fog up ahead, Uraraka makes both of the weight less and flies straight ahead towards the fog, with Kendo enlarging her hands and making huge gusts of wind to make an opening for them both to fly through. Meanwhile, explosions keep erupting in the water as Bakugo Ki blasts the sharks in frustration as he tries to swim across. Izuku approaches the final obstacle, which appears to be a dark tunnel with absolutely no light at all. He notices the dirt is soft and starts thinking, "I wonder..." He fires a small ki blast at a random spot on the ground, causing a mine to explode mines again. Except you can't see them this time. He looks down into the darkness of the tunnel for a moment before closing his eyes, concentrating, and begins to power. His body explodes into a golden aura of light and starts walking through the tunnel in his Super Saiyan form. Bit overkill, and I didn't want to use it so soon, but at least I can see now. He talks to no one but himself as he walks deeper into the tunnel in a casual manner. Uraraka deactivates her quirk, making both her and Kendo land with a thud as they run up and approach the tunnel. They'll look into and see a glowing light deep in it. Kendo looks around to notice the soft soil. "Hey, Uraraka. Think you can use your quirk on us again?" Uraraka nodded. "Sure. If you asked me 2 years ago, I probably would have struggled, but I'm fine now." "But why?" Kendo enlarged her hands. "The tunnel is filled with mines. If we try to fly through, we might crash into a wall and set one off. But if we use your quirk, then you can hang on to me, and I'll use my quirk to gently swim through the tunnel. It'll be a lot slower, the flying, but it'll be safer, I feel." Uraraka agreed with her plan and activated her quirk on both of them and held on to Kendo as she put their plan into motion. Izuku casually walks out of the tunnel back into daylight and returns back to his regular form and starts running towards the stadium. He knows he's got this one easily, but still he'd rather run in and actually win rather than get cocky. He runs in to see the crowd cheering around him as President Mike announces his arrival and the first place winner, Izuku Midoriya. Goten leans back, crossing his arms. "Man, that's pretty much a guaranteed win for him, wasn't it?" All Might nodded yes. The truth is, he has no equal. Thanks to powers of his quirk and his Saiyan abilities, he's technically the most powerful being on the planet. But he still pushes himself to get stronger. Nana smirks, looking at Goku like father like son. "The only ones that be able to give him a challenge on this planet are the Saiyans in this room," spoke Piccolo. Goku smiled, turning to All Might. "Hey Toshi, I got a favor to ask, and our next game shall be Rescue Relay," announced Midnight to the crowd and remaining students who managed to get appropriate rankings in the obstacle course to proceed. She continues on to explain, the match students must select 4 members in order to compete. Then, one student shall be chosen as the civilian who needs to be rescued. First hero must carry the civilian to the top pillar in the center of the stadium to pass on to the second hero. The second hero must then descend down the pillar via tight rope to get to the third hero. Then the third, final hero must deliver the civilian to myself in order to complete. You'll be judged on time, safe handling of the civilian, use of quirks. All this will be added to your final score to decide whether you pass to the tournament round. You now have 30 minutes to select teams. So get to work, announced Midnight with a crack of her whip. Before Izuku could even begin to think of a strategy and who to pick for his team, he became overwhelmed with people requesting to be on his team. Come on, pick me. No, pick me. I can totally get us through this. As if you'll need me to get through. Words came from all directions that he couldn't tell who was talking, let alone think. Kendo, Uraraka, Todoroki, and Momo simply stood at the end of the growing crowd around Izuku. With Uraraka sighing, guess I won't be able to team up with my boyfriend like I was planning. They all looked towards here with sympathy, before Todoroki suggested maybe the 4 of us should team up. With our quirks, we should be able to pull it off. Momo nodded in agreement, with Uraraka and Kendo joining in. Meanwhile, Izuku managed to escape from everyone to give himself a chance to think. He noticed that Uraraka was already on a team and planning. If he acted sooner, he probably could have teamed up with her again, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. He could only hope they meet again in the finals, but he had to get a team together. He looked up to see Tokuge scratching her head, clearly going through the same process as him. Remembering how amazing her quirk was, he decided that she should be handy. Seeing him approach, she raised a brow curiously. Can I help you, Midoriya? He nodded. I want you on my team. She looked around her before shrugging. Screw it, why not? Who else is on the team? Izuku rubs the back of his head. Well, just the 2 of us. She nodded and looked around. What about Emily? No one's asked her yet. I think. Izuku tilted his head in confusion before looking around. Who's Emily? Tokuge's face palmed in response. Right, only we call her that. She's in our classy. You probably know her better as Yanagi. Izuku continued looking around until he spotted the short, gray-haired girl. What's her quirk again? He asked with Tokuge standing beside him as she answered Poltergeist. Izuku looked at Emily with a little more admiration. I'll have to remember to add her quirk to my notes. I'm surprised I haven't already, he thought as he approached her. Hi, Yanagi. She turned to face him in a rather innocent yet confused fashion. Yes, Midoriya, and you can call me Emily. I'd prefer that. Oh, okay. Listen, Emily, are you on a team yet? Izuku asked. No, not yet. Did you want me to join yours? Izuku quickly nodded yes. That's if you don't mind. Emily looked to see Tokuge standing behind him, giving her an encouraging smile before she nodded in agreement. Great, now, we just need one more person. With you 2, I already got a plan to get us through. But we just need one more person to be our civilian, spoke Izuku with his hand on his chin in thought. Emily and Tokaji looked around, but who? We need someone preferably small so we can carry them easier, said Tokage. Izuku thought about one particular person. He looked around for them and saw they were still free. He let out a sigh. Please forgive me, but I think I know who the 4th member should be. 20 minutes later, Tokuge stood at the starting line frowning at her civilian. Let's get one thing straight, testicle head. If you try anything, I'll personally make your existence a living nightmare. I'll even tell Bakugo that you perv on Kendo in the shower. Mineta gasped and began shaking in fear. What? But I've never done that, even though I'd like to, he said as he quivered. Tokuge responded with a devilishly grin. So what? Who's he gonna believe, me or you? Mineta turned pale and looked forward. Fair point. I'll behave. She crossed her arms, smiling. Good boy. Snipes fires around in the air, signaling the start of the relay. Tokuge quickly disassembled her lower half of her body and sent it floating to the top pillar where Emily was waiting. She picked up Mineta and began floating up with her top half. She looked to the pillar beside her to see Kendo flying upwards really fast with Uraraka on her back. Finally reaching the top, she handed Mineta over to Emily. Rather than pick him up herself, Emily used her quirk to make him float, and she began working her way down the tightrope with Mineta gently floating behind her. The physical work of crawling along the tightrope was exhausting for her, but manipulating Mineta with her quirk was an easy task. Meanwhile, Todoroki carried Uraraka down by icing over the tightrope and skating down it. He quickly reached Momo where she was waiting with a push bike she created with her quirk. She thought about making a motorbike, but the specifics of the engine would have taken too much time, but that didn't matter since they were in the lead. With Uraraka using her quirk on herself, she simply latched onto Tomomo as she began to pedal her way back to Midnight. Emily finally made it to the ground and sprinted to Izuku and handed Mineta over to him. Hanging on, Mineta? He asked, and received a nod for confirmation. Izuku smirked as he watched Uraraka and Momo get halfway across towards the end. He placed 2 fingers to his forehead and activated his instant transmission. Midnight screamed in shock and surprise as Izuku and Mineta randomly appeared in front of her. Her shock caused her to hit Izuku across the head before she realized what happened. Damn it, Midoriya. I hate that trick of yours, she growled, as Izuku rubbed his head, and Mineta laid face first in the ground. Regaining her composure, she picked up the microphone, and the first to complete the relay is Team Midoriya, with Team Todoroki coming second. The rest of the teams better pick up your pace if you want. In 7th Universe Planet Namek, Supreme Kai finally arrived to the guardian of the Earth's homeworld. Upon arrival, he didn't notice anything at all suspicious except for one thing. I can't feel any energy of the locals. This is strange, he said to himself as he began to float and fly off towards a nearby village. If his calculations were correct, he should be near the Grand Elder Mori's village. Flying for a few minutes, he lands at the entrance and slowly walks in. He instantly becomes uncomfortable with the silence of the place. There's not a person in sight as he looks around. He finally reaches the center of the village and is understandably horrified by what he sees. Oh no, what has happened here? Who would do such a thing? All he can see is the motionless corpses of the Namekians, young and old, children and the elderly. He goes weak at the knees and collapses onto his hands. This is awful. How could I have allowed such a horrible, devilish act to have happened? He yelled as he tries to fight back the tears. Minutes pass before he finally manages to convince himself to stand again. He unfortunately had to leave the bodies as they were and began a long search of the planet, as he began to fear that there could possibly be no survivors on this once peaceful planet. Universe 7, Eastern Quadrant. The captain of the smuggler ship crossed his arms as he stared at the video comm link. So you want me to travel to the Northern Quadrant, to a planet called Earth? You realize the inhabitants there are dangerous. No ship has landed there within the last century or more. Mustache Captain nodded on the video screen, we are aware of that. But our lord requires you to collect one of the inhabitants. The smuggler captain shook his head. You fail to understand the risks of going to such a planet. The captain on the screen gets replaced by a red-skinned figure with white hair and a blue halo around his neck holding a staff with an orb on top. I'm aware of the risks. Hence, why I'm hiring you and your crew. I also have a plan for you to distract the locals, and you shall be paid well for your efforts. The smuggler captain scratches his chin in curiosity. Go on. The red-skinned villain smiles before explaining his plan. When you arrive to the planet, break onto the planet's lookout and find a dark bottle. The smuggler raises a brow in confusion. What's so special about the bottle? The villain grins. It's not the bottle itself that's important, but its contents. For within the bottle is something known as black water mist. By simply opening the bottle and tipping it to its side, the mist will run out and cover the planet. The mist itself will turn the humans and animals into feral, untamable creatures. But in saying that, there's no doubt that someone will attempt to reverse its effects. The villain continues explaining with a strange, calming smile the chaos the black water mist will cause will be an adequate distraction for you to collect what I need and leave the planet without issue. The smuggler smirked. That's all fine and good, but what's to prevent me and my guys being affected by this black water crap? The villain quickly replied, standard issue breathing suits for gas planets should be more than enough to help with that. The smuggler nodded with a growing smile. Lord Vodka, we accept the job. The red-skinned villain, now revealed to be named Lord Vodka, grins and produces an image of the white-haired girl with a small horn on his staff's orb. This is your objective. Deliver her to me without a scratch on her in the south quadrant of the 6th universe. The smuggler nods and bows in response. Consider it done. Universe 7, Planet New Namek. Supreme Kai continued searching without success of finding any survivors. He stood on a mountaintop with frustration. Damn it. I need to find out what happened here. He sat down, crossing his legs, and entered a meditative state. He began concentrating until his energy found the person he was after. Wiz, can you hear me? Within moments, he got a response. Ah, Supreme Kai, what an unexpected pleasure. I must say, it's very rare to get a call from you. I apologize for being so blunt, but I require your help. Oh, is that so? Well, Lord Beerus is about to wake up from a nap in a few minutes. After he is feed, I'll come and assist you with your problem. Wiz replied. Please hurry. I'm on New Namek, said Kai, a little annoyed that he has to wait. But there's not much point arguing with an angel or a destroyer. So he must now remain patient and wait. Universe 7, Planet Earth, UA Stadium. All right, sports fans, it's time to announce the lineup for the third year's final tournament battles. Announced present mic to a cheering crowd. Vegeta crossed his arms, a huff. Finally, they're actually going to do something that's worth my time watching. It won't be as impressive as my performance at the martial arts tournament, but I'm sure these young punks are allowed to have a few minutes fame, said Hercule, in a casual manner. This caused All Might and Inko to share a questioning look before Inko spoke. I'm sorry, who are you again? In a moment of horror and shame, Hercule curls up into a ball, turning pale. They don't know me. How? Videl sighed and turned to Inko. He's my father. He used to be martial arts champ of the world, while the rest of these guys fought around in space. Everyone nodded in agreement until the door flung open. All eyes turned to see a small old man in a yellow and white hero suit holding a cane. He casually walked past them and sat beside All Might Sorry I'm Late Toshinori. Traffic was a nightmare even for me. How's the kid doing? He asked, casually looking out to the stadium. Nana grinned evilly in the corner and proceeded to sneak up to the elderly man. He's down well. Came first in the first 2 events. Just waiting for the draw for the tournament to be announced, said All Might, not noticing his former master stalking her old friend. Well, that's to be expected. He's got a good head on his shoulders, said Gran, as Nana jabbed him in the sides with both hands and yelled, "Boo!" Gran turned around to see the face of his dead friend with a look of evil in her eyes. Out of pure instinct, he screams bloody murder and hits her on the head with his cane before jump away in fright and hitting his own head on the roof. Nana burst into tears, laughing as she rubbed her head from where he hit. Gran stormed over to her fists clenched. "What the hell, you're supposed to be dead." She proceeded to giggle. "Oh, don't worry, I am." See, she points to the halo floating above her head. Gran simply stares at it and noticed that majority of the people in the room also have halos. Okay, my old age has clearly caught up to me. This is clearly a hallucination of some kind. All Might rubs the back of his neck nervously. No. You're fine. They're dead, but they are here. I'll explain later. It's a long story. All right, here's the draw for the tournament, yelled President Mike through the speaker. Monoma versus Kirishima. Yanagi versus Bakugo. Kendo versus Shinso. Momo versus Mineta. Uraraka versus Mina. Tokaji versus Todoroki. Suyu versus Ida. Midoriya versus Hananuki. All Might smiled. Should make an interesting few matches from the looks of things. Gohan nodded in agreement. Yeah, I'm curious to see what quirks these guys have and how well they use them. They've all had 3 years worth of training to perfect their quirks, but 4 of them have an obvious advantage over the rest. If any of the other students want to stand a chance against them, they'll have to think outside the box, added Nana. Xenos Palace. The 2 Omni Kings sit side by side watching a large orb in wonderment. Wow, I can't wait to see who wins, says the first Xeno indeed. Oh boy, this will be so much fun, replied the second Xeno. I can't wait to see how strong Deku is. This is so exciting. I hope it starts soon. You class 3, of fools, think you're so much better than us. We will win the sports festival this year and leave you all crumbling in the sands of defeat, ranted Monoma as he stood in the fighting ring. Kirishima just simply stared at him blankly, while the rest of 3 billions just groaned at their fellow classmate's speech. Kirishima scratched the back of his head, watching the blonde. So, are we gonna fight, or is this a public speaking contest? Monoma twitched and charged at Kirishima, ready to copy his quirk. Kirishima sighed as he watched him charge with an outstretched hand. Kirishima casual stepped to the side, letting him run past, then jabbed him with his right hand in the nose. Monoma quickly stumbled back, holding his face as blood dripped out. You struck me. You struck my beautiful face. Kirishima blinked. I didn't even use my quirk. Monoma continued wincing and cringing in pain as his nose continued to bleed. 3 billion sighed in embarrassment, while the crowd roared at his antics for the next 8 minutes. Getting annoyed with the lack of action, Kirishima was decided as the winner. President Mike spoke up. Okay, that was pretty boring, but hopefully this next matchup will heat things up. It's Class 3 Bolivianos, silent and mysterious Yanagi versus 3 as loudmouth that always goes out with a bang. Bakugo! The crowd cheered as the 2 took stage, eyeing each other off. I'll end this quickly, Bakugo smirked. Yanagi shrugged in reply, not really feeling like saying anything as usual. The match begins with Yanagi charging Bakugo at a sprint. Bakugo responded by raising his hand and letting out an explosion, sending her back. She shrugs it off and runs back in again, and the process is repeated. Izuku watched Bakugo, noticing he's only using a small percentage of his quirk and no ki since the battle doesn't require him to push that far. This feels kind of familiar, don't you think? Spoke Tokoyami behind him. Yeah. It's almost exactly like our first sports festival when Bakugo was up again. Uraraka, said Jiro. Izuku nodded in agreement before thinking about it, looking at his girlfriend. She's using Uraraka's tactic. Everyone, including the zero-gravity user, looked to him. How so? Asked Momo. Izuku put his hand to his chin in thought as he explained, well, in a way both her and Ochaka's quirk works the same. She needs to touch something for it to work. She's making Bakugo create rubble for her to use. That seems kind of pointless. It didn't work when Uraraka tried it, and Bakugo isn't exactly an idiot. He won't fall for the same trick twice, added Shoto. You're right, but it's the only chance Yanagi has got. She's limited with what she can do against him, said Uraraka. After another loud explosion, Yanagi stood back, panting, waiting for the smoke to clear. She eyed off Bakugo and relaxed. Bakugo frowned, seeing her natural expression. Before he could yell an insult, a small rock strikes him in the head. He groans, looking in the direction the rock came from, then gets struck between the eyes by another rock. He stumbles back a little, holding his face, growling grr. What the hell? He pulls his hand away to see himself become surrounded by rubble in all directions. He looks towards Yanagi with his usual frown. So you're using round face's trick. What makes you think it'll work for you? Yanagi simply shrugged in response. Don't know. Just felt like testing it. Yanagi then proceeded to launch all the rubble towards Bakugo. A large cloud of dust erupted where he stood, with the rocks flying straight for it and disappearing. Yanagi waited patiently for the dust to settle and frowned slightly to see Bakugo standing arms crossed and not a scratch on him. He then quickly appeared in front of her in a flash, grabbing her by the shirt and tossing her effortlessly out of the ring. If she acted quick enough, Shud could have used her quirk on him, but he moved too fast for her to see anything he did. The only people capable of seeing what he did were Izuku, Ochako, Itsuka, and the Z fighters. No one else has had the training they had to see how quick he was at dodging Yanagi's attack as well as seeing her thrown out the ring. Bakugo was declared the winner. As he walked out of the arena, he came face to face with Girlfriend. He looked at her for a moment, then turned straight ahead. "Just remember not to talk, and you'll win in a heartbeat." He spoke as he attempted to walk past. He was suddenly blocked by a large fist in the wall. The large hand then grabbed him and pulled him down so that he was eye level with Itsuka. "Not gonna kiss me for good luck?" she asked mischievously. Bakugo groaned. "Oh, come on, you don't need it. So what? It's the thought that counts," she spoke before pressing her lips to his. He didn't resist since it was obvious that he does enjoy it. The only reason he stopped was because Itsuka pulled away smirking and walked out to face Shinso. The purple-haired boy wore his usual tired expression, but rather than standing around with his hands hidden in his pockets, he actually stood in a defensive position, ready to go. Itsuka grinned at this and took up her own fighting stance. She wanted to wish him a good fight for the sake of good sportsmanship. But she knew that would be an instant lose against the brainwasher. "I know you're not going to fall for my quirk kendo, but I hope I can at least give you a worthy challenge," said Shinso. Kendo replied with a nod before launching an attack which Shinso dodged. They began exchanging blows between each other, throwing kicks and punches back and forth. The crowd was cheering and going crazy for what appeared to be an even fight. Piccolo watched her with crossed arms and smirked. "She's holding back a fair amount." Goten looked at him, then back to the fight. "Really? How can you tell?" Piccolo answered, "Well, she's not using her quirk for starters, and she's using her original fighting style that she was taught before she began training with me. I imagine we won't see any real action till the finals. Doesn't matter who's in the finals. Bakugo will wipe the floor with any of them since I'm the one who trained him," spoke Vegeta proudly. "So you're saying that an Earthling you trained is going to beat Goku's son, who is technically a proud Saiyan warrior you always say are the best fighters in the universe?" spoke Nana in a casual manner. Vegeta frowned and looked away, refusing to answer, while everyone else just chuckled in response. Itsuka managed to land a punch in Shinso's jaw, which made him stagger backwards out of the ring, thus making her the winner. With that battle out of the way, it was now time for the beautiful Momo to up against the perverted Mineta. Who would win? Found out as the first round of the Sports Festival tournament continues in the next exciting chapter. Momo sighed as she looked at her opponent. "How come I have to go up against this little creep?" she asked herself as Mineta stared at her devilishly. There was no doubt the Grape Hero was plotting to use his quirk to either trap her or somehow achieve something perverted like groping her. She still remembers how he used his quirk to bounce around and accidentally crash headfirst into Mina's breasts. At the time, it was an impressive maneuver until he achieved his pervy goal. So, she was more than aware of what schemes he was capable of. The boy in question was drooling with excitement for a little one-on-one action with one of the most popular girls in school. His impatience got the better of him, and he charged at her with his hands out, ready to grab hold of her. Momo sighed. I didn't think he was going to be this thirsty. She watched as he came closer and closer and eventually activated her quirk, creating a sledgehammer and slogged him across the side of the head with enough force to make the bald-headed boy faceplant into the stadium wall, automatically making him ring out. Chi-Chi smiled at the girl's performance. "I like how that girl thinks. Almost the same way Bulma treats Roshi." Bulma nodded in agreement. "Great minds think alike." Trunks sat with his arms crossed, recalling a conversation he had when he first met Izuku. Flashback. "Use the dragon radar," answered Trunks, walking over to join the conversation. "Dragon radar?" questioned Izuku. "Yeah, the dragon radar was invented by Bulma, Trunks' mom, and it's made specifically to find Dragon Balls," answered Gohan. Izuku listened with curiosity. "Okay then, but how do I find it?" Trunks stretched, thinking about it well from memory. "Before I died, I gave it to my granddaughter as hand-me-down. She went on to marry some guy named Yaoyorozu." Izuku went wide-eyed. "You're kidding me, really?" "Nope. We were both pretty rich families, so we'd meet at big events a lot. Eventually, my granddaughter and the Yaoyorozu boy fell in love and married. But I was long dead before they tied the knot. Sounds like you know them." Trunks looked at Izuku as he replied, "Actually, I'm in the hero course with a Yaoyorozu. She's actually vice-class president." Trunks smiled. "Good. Then you should be able to find the dragon radar, no problem. That's if they still have it." Izuku nodded. "Yeah, but I honestly have no need for the Dragon Balls right now. So I'll hold off looking for them unless I really need to, or it's an emergency." Flashback ends. Trunks looked towards All Might. "Yo, All Might. What's that girl's name again?" All Might looked up towards Trunks, then back to his student. "Oh, that's Momo Yaoyorozu. She's class vice president for 3A. Trunks smiled, confirming what he thought. Well, it seems the women in our family have a habit of knocking out pervs. Goten looked towards his childhood friend, with a raised brow. What do you mean? Bulma also looked at Trunks in confusion, as well as majority of the people in the room. That Momo girl, she's my great-granddaughter, smiled Trunks as he shared this information. Gohan looked at the girl, thinking out loud. Oh yeah, when we told Izuku about the dragon radar, we found out about him being in the same class as one of your descendants. Man, can't believe I forgot about that. All Might look towards Trunks and his family if you wish I can speak with young Midoriya, and we can both try to organize you all to meet her after the festival. Bulma squealed in excitement. Oh goodness, I'd love to meet her. We'd appreciate that very much, Toshi, All Might replied, with a warm smile, before turning to look at the next match. Uraraka stood ready, smiling, with Mina smiling back just as ready. Mina shot a stream of acid directly at Uraraka, which she stepped back, avoiding, then charged towards Mina as she shot a variety of different acid attacks. As Uraraka closed the distance, Mina leaked acid on the ground at low toxicity, in an effort to make Uraraka slip and trip if she came too close. Uraraka quickly noticed this and used it to her advantage and slid across the ground towards Mina, taking out her legs, making her fall over. As she passed, Uraraka activated her quirk on Mina, making the pink girl float. As Mina floated uncontrollably, she simply pouted and crossed her arms, glaring at Uraraka. Uraraka giggled as she stood up, looking at the alien queen. So, how's the view up there? Mina grumbled. Oh, screw you, Ochako. Uraraka shrugged and deactivated her quirk, making Mina land on the grass gently. They both walked out together, with Uraraka as the victor. Now it was time for Tokage and Todoroki to go head-to-head. Tokage walked into the ring looking at Todoroki and smiled mischievously. What's the chances you'll take it easy on me since I'm a girl? Todoroki simply shook his head. I know for a fact you're more than capable of taking care of yourself. Tokage chuckles, gosh darn. Oh, well, it was worth a try. She grins as she pulls herself apart and attempts to surround Todoroki, but he quickly makes an ice wall and pushes the wall towards in hopes of forcing her out of the ring. Not a bad idea, but you forgot. I can just go around, it said the floating head behind him. Todoroki turned to face Tokage's head in shock, but was met with a fist, knocking him off balance. Quickly taking advantage of the situation, Tokage launches body's parts into him while her hands slowly dragged him out of the ring. In frustration, Todoroki throws a wall of flames towards her, but her parts easily avoided the attack and continued her assault on the half-and-half user, eventually making him fall out of the ring before he could make an attempt to prevent it. Tokage quickly reassembled herself, smiling. Well, that was a more ass-than-class effort, but I'll work. Todoroki stood up, chuckling. I made the mistake of underestimating you. I should have been smart enough not to fall for that, especially against you. But I accept my defeat. Aw, aren't you a good sport? Chuckled Tokage as she walked off stage. She walked past Suyu on her way. You got a plan for motor legs? She asked the frog girl, curiously. Suyu looked at her with a tiny smirk. You'll just have to wait and see. Tokage laughed and continued walking. Can't wait to see. Suyu continued on walking out and came face to face with Aida. I wish you good luck in this match, Asui, bowed Aida. Suyu bowed in return likewise, and I told you to call me too. As soon as Midnight cracked her wipe to signal the start, Suyu launched her Tounge at Aida, taking off his glasses and throwing them out of the ring. In the moment of blindness, Aida lost sight of Suyu and failed to see her in the ring, although I don't approve of it so. This is a smart strategy. Make me lose focus in my version and use your camouflage technique together, and I have no hope of finding you with my sight, spoke Aida as he rapidly blinked, hoping he could see any kind of movement that'll allow him to see Suyu. But it's clear that Suyu has mastered this tactic, and knows by staying still, she's as invisible as Toru. Suddenly, something wraps around Aida's leg and launches him out of the ring next to his glasses. He groans and puts them on just in time to see Suyu deactivate her camouflage and wearing a proud smile on her face. Sorry, Aida, but it's our last sports festival, so gotta use all my tricks to get to the top. Aida stood up. No need to apologize, TSU. You had a good strategy and it worked for you in the end, he said, smiling. All right, it's time for the final match of round 1, announced Present Mike. Aries sat on Goku's lap, excited. Yay, it's finally Deku's turn. Inko smiled proudly. Oh, I hope he does well. I'm a little nervous for him. 17 crossed his arms as he leans back in his seat. From what I've seen and heard, I'd be nervous for the other guy. That makes 2 of us, agreed Tien. Make that 3, added Roshi, as they all watched Izuku slowly walk out onto the ring, coming face to face with Hananuki. The final match of the first round begins. Universe 7, on the edge of the Milky Way. The smuggler captain sat in his commander chair, drumming his fingers in boredom. How much longer till we reach planet Earth? He asked in frustration. 4 to 5 hours, sir, replied his navigator. The captain groaned in response. I lack the patience for travel. How ready are the infiltration and hunter teams? They are on standby, ready to deploy on your orders, sir, responded his first mate. The captain nodded and turned to leave Yor in charge of the bridge. Wake me when we're less than 1 hour away from the planet, he ordered as he walked off to his sleeping quarters. Earth, UA Stadium. Izuku stood looking towards Hananuki, waiting patiently for the match to start. Neither of the heroes in training spoke. Both were determined to get to the top and win, but only one could proceed forward towards victory. "Let the match begin," said Midnight with a crack of her wipe. And instantly, Hananuki disappears into the ring, turning the whole thing into his personal playground of mud. But Izuku appeared to remain completely normal, not at all sinking into the thick sludge of the ring. Kirishima blinked. What the? How come he hasn't been trapped by Hananuki's mud? Because shit hair, he isn't touching the ground, stated Bakugo. Kaminari leaned forward, looking towards both Kirishima and Bakugo. What? How can he not be touching the ground? Did you guys actually forget Midoriya, Bakugo, Ochako as well, as Kendo can fly? Spoke Suyu in her usual tone. Oh, yeah. That's kinda unfair for the rest of us, said Kaminari with a pout. Well, if you weren't so freaking useless, then you could learn to fly to Pikachu head, shouted Bakugo. But it's too hard to learn, and you're a bad teacher, replied Kaminari. That's because you're shit at following instruction. There's a reason you basically failed the exams, roared Bakugo. Izuku continued to float just millimeters above the ring, looking around for Hananuki in amongst the sludge with no luck until the boy's head popped. Up out of the ground, in front of him, I knew you were going to be a challenge, Midoriya. But I'm pretty confident I got the edge on you. Izuku smiled at his opponent's optimism. Oh yeah? What makes you say that? Hananuki's head slowly descends back into the mud as he replies, I can see you. But you can't see me. Izuku nods. I'm agreement you for sure go me there. It's a good plan you got. If I was up against you in our first sports festival, I'd have a hard time against you. Hell, I'd be pretty sure I'd lose. But a lot has changed since then. Izuku closed his eyes and focused on Hananuki's energy. After a few seconds, he could feel him, but only just in time as Hananuki launches out behind him in an attempt to tackle Izuku and drag him into the sludge. With his eyes remaining closed, Izuku floated to the side and kicked Hananuki in the stomach only, for his foot to go through his mud-like body, and Hananuki quickly disappears back into the ring. Damn it, I'm not gonna get him out like that, Izuku said to himself as he continued to focus on Hananuki. He heard movement behind him coming towards him. He quickly turned, throwing a Texas smash towards the flying pieces of mud that came at him, knocking them back. He hears another attack from behind again, performing another smash. Then, suddenly, a wave of random shots of mud start hurling in all directions, towards Izuku, making him dodge and use smashes to avoid them. During the assault, Izuku didn't realize it was a distraction until Hananuki launched at him from underneath and wrapped himself around Izuku in his dripping muddy form. Got you! Up in the stands, Inko gasped in shock. No, my baby. All Might stared in shock as well, damn it. He fell for young Hananuki's trap. He spoke, clenching his fists. Eri watched fearful for her hero. She slowly looked up at Goku with her innocent eyes. Is Deku in trouble? Goku looked down at the white hair girl and simply replied, with it, looks that way. But I think we should keep watching and see what happens. He winked subtly, the little girl giving her a thumbs up. Slowly, Izuku's body begins to descend, being absorbed by the muddy ring. He tries desperately to fight it off, but Hananuki latched on, tight. Don't struggle, Midoriya. This will be over shortly. Izuku doesn't stop and proceeds to try and break free from the mud user's quirk. Damn it, no! Present Mike continues his commentary of the match. Well, it looks like Midoriya is in a sticky situation. It's not looking too good for the mean green machine of Class 3A, and it appears he's got no way to get out of this one. So, what do you think about this, Aizawa? Is there any hope at all for your high-ranked student? Aizawa sighed tiredly as he spoke into the microphone. All I can say is that Midoriya is a terrible actor. Hananuki heard Aizawa's statement over the speaker, causing him to look towards him in confusion, before he noticed him and Izuku were no longer sinking. Did Aizawa seriously just give away my plan? Spoke Izuku. Hananuki blinked, looking at him. What plan? Izuku slowly raised out of the mud, with Hananuki still wrapped around him. In his muddy form, basically fall for your trap so you can fall for mine. Hananuki frowned. What trap? You don't have a trap. I got you wrapped up tight. You can't escape. Izuku turned to where Hananuki's head was positioned and smirked. Is that so? Well, let's test how tight your grip is then. Izuku clenched his fist and slowly begins to power up. An aura begins to form around him, causing Hananuki to become concerned. What are you doing? Hey, stop that. Quit it, pleaded Hananuki. What the hell are you doing? Stop, yelled a fear-struck Hananuki. Yelled Izuku as his energy aura explodes around him, sending a shockwave off his body, causing Hananuki's muddy form to be thrown off Izuku and splat against the stadium wall. Feeling his body freed, Izuku powers down and lightly lands on the ring, listening to Midnight confirm he's the winner. He looks over to see Hananuki passed out, as first aid comes to his help, causing Izuku to scratch the back of his head, nervously. Guess I kinda overdid it. Wow, what an amazing twist and finish to that one. And that's only the end to the first round. We'll begin round 2 after a short break, hero fans. Announced, Present Mike. Meanwhile, Inko was babbling mess. Oh my baby. Videl and Chi-Chi kneeled beside her, attempting to calm down and comfort the green-haired woman. Bulma watched the scene and put a hand to her chin in thought. You know, this reminds me of when Chi-Chi was watching Gohan fight alongside Piccolo against Vegeta and the big, bald guy. Gran Torino raised a brow, looking towards the blue-haired woman. Why were they fighting? He asked. Because Vegeta was going to try to destroy humanity and sell the planet, answered Nana as she casually ate a hot dog and is already aware of the story and relationships among the Z fighters. Gran Torino blinked, looking at the one known as Vegeta before looking at the rest of the Z fighters who were nodding, confirming what Nana said is true. Gran shook his head. You people make friends in weird and strange ways. Bakugo steps back from Kirishima as he throws a right hook in his fully hardened form. You may be tough, but you're too slow shit hair, said Bakugo, continually stepping back. You haven't even attacked yet, shot back Kirishima, grinning. Bakugo stood up and left himself unguarded exactly. I can beat you with no effort. Kirishima frowned and charged at Bakugo at full speed. But Bakugo smirked as he quickly dodged last minute, causing Kirishima to run straight out of the ring. Kirishima blinked and looked at the grass beneath his feet. Ah, crap. Did I seriously just lose like that? He yelled, burying his face into his hands. Bakugo walks up behind him, patting him on the shoulder. Told you I could beat you with no effort. The two walked out together with Kirishima deactivating his quirk. You know you can be a real dick sometimes. So Kendo keeps telling me, replied Bakugo. Momo walks past them, giving them a nod before walking out to meet Kendo in the ring. The two bowed to each other respectively before taking up a fighting stance each. Kendo specifically using Piccolo's fighting style, while Momo positioned herself to activate her quirk quickly. Let this cat fight begin, ladies, shouted Midnight with a crack of her whip. Momo quickly created a shield just in time to block Kendo's attack, and retaliated by swinging her freshly made staff, which Kendo flipped back to avoid. Momo then proceeded to go on the offensive, trying to get the upper hand on Kendo. Kendo continually blocked and dodged Momo's staff attacks as well as her shield ones. This continues on for a while, neither one gaining the upper hand on the other, until Momo stood panting in a defensive position. Kendo didn't even appear any sign of fatigue and spoke, You're looking a bit tired, Momo. Momo nodded, tightening her grip on her staff before asking, And you look completely fine. It's safe to assume this is thanks to your sparring sessions with Midoriya? Kendo gave a simple nod, partly that, and I keep trying to train how Master Piccolo taught me. Up in the stands, Gohan looked at Piccolo, smirking. Well, looks like someone has a lot of respect for you. Ha! Come on, you're not one to talk, Gohan. I remember the whole time you were a kid you dressed like Piccolo. Hell, you even defeated Cell in that outfit. Pointed out Krillin, causing the half-Saiyan to blush. Videl chuckled and leaned against her husband. He wore that outfit when he taught me to fly. I wouldn't admit it at the time, but he looked pretty cute in it. Piccolo grumbled, I didn't realize my clothes were a subject of fashion. Meanwhile, Kendo took advantage of the exhausted Momo and went on the offensive. Momo tried desperately to defend herself but lost her staff in the process, before Kendo launched a hard swinging kick into her shield, knocking her out. Momo laid her back in the grass, panting in an effort to try and catch her breath before Kendo helped her back to her feet. Meanwhile, Uraraka sat beside Izuku in the waiting room, leaning against him. Are you sure you can pull it off? He asked, looking at his zero-gravity girlfriend. Uraraka looked up and punched the air in her classic determined attitude, You bet. It took me a while to learn when Gohan was training, but I'm confident it'll work on Tokage. Izuku smiled before lightly kissing Ochako's cheek. Okay then, I'll wait here for you since my match is right after yours. Ochako smiled with a blush at him before getting up and walking to the stage. She quickly looked over her shoulder and gave Izuku a thumbs up before proceeding to the ring. Tokage already stood waiting for her opponent to arrive. She watched the brunette walk up the stairs with a confident smile, which Tokage couldn't help but mirror. With the way you're looking at me, Ochako, this is going to be fun. Well, I hope I don't disappoint you, she replied as she took up a defensive stance. The match begins the same as all the rest, with Midnight cracking her whip. Tokage quickly dissembled herself, surrounding Ochako with her body parts. Ochako took a deep breath and mentally thought, just stick to the plan. Just defend yourself until the right moment. Tokage quickly threw herself at Ochako with random body parts with the exemption of her head that stayed floating, keeping an eye on the brunette. Ochako moved smoothly as she blocked and dodged Tokage's attacks. Tokage could tell that Ochako was more calmer than Todoroki was when she did this to him, but slowly, Ochako was being shifted to the edge of the ring. Tokage smirked confidently, as she was certain that she had this match in the bag. Tokage created a wall around Ochako with her body parts. Ochako looked around and gasped when she saw she was right on the edge, ready to be pushed out. Sorry, Ochako, but I'm going to end this now. Your quirk is basically useless against me, called our Tokage. Ochako remained in a defensive, still wearing her confident smile that now annoyed Tokage. She wasted no time in throwing the body wall at Ochako, but the body parts went straight through Ochako, and then she disappears like a mirage. Tokage blinked in surprise. What the Tokage gets cut off as Ochako grabs her head, chuckling. Tokage goes wide-eyed in horror and desperately tries to call her body parts back to her, but Ochako moved, quickly enough to gently sit Tokage's head on the grass while keeping herself afloat her quirk. Tokage screamed in frustration, "Damn it! How the hell did you do that?" Ochako simply replied with a giggle. Roshi stroked his beard in admiration. "Amazing. In all my years of martial arts, that has got to be one of the finest displays of the after-image technique I've ever seen." Yamcha nodded in agreement. Yeah, I know. She had that other girl completely bluffed and caught her off guard. Oh, my Izuku has such a clever girlfriend. He's so lucky to have her," smiled Inko. Gohan simply sat back smiling proudly at his martial arts student. He doubted himself that he could be half the teachers Goku and Piccolo were to him, but he still gave it his all and was happy to see how well Ochako performed. After a quick celebrational hug with Ochako, Izuku walked back out into the ring to go up against Tsuyu. The two green-haired heroes in training prepared for the battle between each other before the sound of Midnight's whip cracked through the stadium. Tsuyu quickly launched her challenge at Izuku with amazing speed, causing him to spin around dodging it. When he faced back towards Tsuyu, she was gone out of sight. Izuku couldn't help but chuckle using the same trap he used on Aida. He didn't get a reply since Tsuyu feared if she spoke, he'd be able to narrow down where she's hidden. He looked around carefully trying to find movement, but couldn't. It became obvious she was sitting still, waiting for him to make a false move. "Well, since I can't see you, Tsu, how about I even it out so you can't see me?" Tsuyu didn't respond, but did become confused by his words. How's he going to do that? She wondered, watching him carefully. Izuku closed his eyes and held his hands open with his fingers spread out to both sides of his head before yelling out, "Solar flare!" The stadium instantly became filled with light, blinding everyone who dared to look at it. Tsuyu tried to cover her face from the blinding light and close her eyes. The light is unable to pass through her body like Taurus invisibility, so instantly, Izuku spotted Tsuyu's shadow. He quickly ran up to her, picking her up and throwing her out of the ring. The moment she felt his hands wrapped around her, she squealed in surprise. As soon as the light faded, everyone rubbed their eyes and slowly they refocused to see Tsuyu, sitting in the grass, and Izuku standing in the center of the ring. Present Mike's voice boomed through the speakers. "Incredible. Glad I had my glasses on for that performance. As most of you were blinded by that insane amount of light, allow me to fill y'all in on the details." After Midoriya did his little wielding flash thing, he found Tsuyu and tossed her out the ring. So basically, Midoriya is the winner. This concludes round 2. The semifinals begin next, shouted Present Mike. The crowd stare in awe at the raw power being exchanged between Bakugo and Kendo. No one had ever seen such a display of fighting ability like they are now. Another shockwave echoed through the stadium as Kendo blocked at Bakugo's punch with her knee, then attempted to throw a punch towards his head, which he dodged and attempted to counter. To everyone watching, they look evenly matched, but to the teacher's class mates and the Z fighters, they can tell they were holding back. And because they were both holding back, they were equally annoyed that their partner wasn't taking the fight seriously. Until Kendo gave into her frustration, firing a ki blast towards Bakugo's chest, which he deflected with a manning grin when it exploded beside him in the ring. "You're finally taking it serious," he smirked. Kendo rolled her eyes. "I just wanted to avoid embarrassing you in front of your friend again, sweetie." He growled, "Stop calling me names." He charged at her, and they began exchanging blows heavily and slowly began to raise up out of the stadium. At that moment, drones were sent out to film the fighting since people couldn't see the fight from their current sitting arrangements. "How are those two still together when the fight like this all the time?" asked Tezutezu, kicking his feet up, leaning back. "If you find out, be sure to let me know," replied Kodai as she watched the screen of the two fighting in the sky. Kendo kicked Bakugo away and began to power up with an aura surrounding her. "Ah!" Bakugo wipes his mouth, grinning. "So that's how you want to do it then, huh? Fine by me!" Bakugo clenches his fist and also began to power up. Kendo places 2 fingers to her forehead and began to concentrate energy the tips of them. Bakugo recognized her favorite technique and replied by putting his hands together at his side, concentrating energy in his hands. The both locked eyes on each other, and with determination, Kendo prepared herself special beam. Bakugo continued grinning and replied, "Gatlick, cannon, gun." They both yelled in unison, firing their energy beams at each other. The energy connected, halfway between them, and sent a powerful shockwave make the ground shake and blinding the spectators. After a few seconds struggle, Kendo powered up more and sent more energy into her beam, overpowering Bakugo's attack. She blinked when the energies exploded and faded. She looked around for Bakugo, not seeing him anywhere in the sky. She began to focus her energy on finding him, but was too late when she felt a hard blow between her shoulders, sending her crashing through the ring and into the walls of the stadium. She laid back in the crater and watched Bakugo descend and land on the ring wearing his cocky smirk. She groaned, shaking her head. That was a cheap shot. "You're just as slow to react," he said, walking over to her and picking her up bridal style. "Come on, let's get you to the old lady." She chuckled. "Wow, such a gentleman. You realize everyone is watching us now, right?" "Shut up!" Izuku twiddled his thumbs anxiously as he mentally prepared for his next fight. "It's okay. You're just going up against your girlfriend. She's strong and capable of handling herself. You've seen that time and time again. So you don't have to go easy on her. But she might hate you for beating her, but then she'll be annoyed if you let her win. Damn it, why did it have to be her? Midoriya. You're up, called out Vlad King, informing him that it was now time to walk out on stage. Izuku took a shaky breath and made his way to the ring. At the same time he was walking out, Uraraka was doing the same, and she was smirking with determination when they locked eyes. She instantly took up a fighting stance. Don't go easy on me, Deku. Treat me like any other opponent. Okay. Izuku took up his own stance and nodded right. Began! Cracked midnight, and the couple instantly meet in the center of the ring, blocking each other's attacks. Uraraka jumped back and front flipped over the top of him, firing a ki blast at him. He stepped back to dodge it, but Uraraka quick jumped from behind, driving her shoulder into his back, knocking him to the ground. Izuku landed on his hands and pushed himself up, and fired a ki blast upside down towards Uraraka. She spins around, catching and throwing it back at him, which he quickly kicks away upward, before landing in his feet and quickly turning to face her. He watched as Uraraka powered up 2 balls of energy in her hands. Geez, you're not messing around. Are you... spoke Izuku, preparing for her attack. I told you not to go easy on me for a reason, Deku. She fires a barrage of energy towards him, which deflects and dodges best he can, until finally grabbing 2 of them, throwing them back at her. The 2 balls of energy passed through Uraraka, making her disappear like a fog. Izuku's eyes widened, realizing what he just fell for, then was quickly met with a knee in his stomach and a punch to his cheek, sending him crashing into the ring. He sat up, rubbing his cheek. Ow. That hurt. He barely had time to react when he sees Uraraka powering up with her hands together above her head. Masenko. Ha! She fires the beam directly at Izuku. Ah, crap! He grumbles as he places his fingers to his forehead and activates instant transmission just as the beam hits target and explodes. He appears behind Uraraka, traps her in a headlock. She yells in surprise and tries to fight him and break free. He quickly reacts by holding her with one arm, and a smile starts growing on his face. Uraraka recognizes the grip she's in and begins to panic. No, Deku. Don't you dare. Not here, no. But her pleads got her nowhere as Izuku begins to tickle her with his free hand. Haha, stop it, haha, ekantekit. She explodes in laughter as they both begin descending to the ground. The crowd just stared dumbfounded by the current situation. Not a normal fighting tactic, but they couldn't exactly argue with the results. Ha ha ha, Deku, stop. Haha, you're gonna make me pee. Haha. Izuku smiled innocently at his girlfriend before dropping her, letting her land on the grass in her bottom. He landed beside her and helped her up as she stared at him with daggers. Not a word spoken between them until they got into the hall way out of sight when she finally pinned him up against the wall with all the strength she could muster. That wasn't very nice, Deku, she said in a menacing tone with a hint of flirtiness. Izuku blushes and laughed, nervously sorry. But you did say not to go easy on you. She smirked and kissed under his ear and whispered, I'm gonna pay you back. Mark my words. He turned as red as possible before nodding vigorously. Consider them marked. He finally managed to speak out. It was a fight that everyone knew would come. They didn't know when it would happen, but they knew. Of course, no one surprised that it was those two in the final battle. As the 2 boys grew stronger, so did their rivalry to become the top hero. Roshi adjusted his glasses, looking around the stadium, feeling the tension in the air. Goodness, I haven't felt this much tension in a tournament since the Tournament of Power. This fight has been a big build for a few years now, spoke Gran Torino. The rivalry between the two is similar to mine and Kakarott's. That was made clear to me when I trained Bakugo, commented Vegeta, with his arms crossed. This should be fun to watch, added 17. All right, it's finally time to start the final battle for the 3rd years in this year's sports festival. In the East Corner, we have a boy with an explosive personality and temper. He claimed victory in his first sports festival as well as getting the highest score in billion points for his year's entrance exams. You know as Lord Explosion. Give it up for Katsuki Bakugo, announced Present Mike. The crowd cheers as Bakugo steps into the ring, smiling confidently. And in the West Corner is a boy whose determination knows no limits. He defeated the villain Overhaul shortly after gaining his provisional hero license and made a big splash in the media. He gained the highest score in rescue points for his year. He is well known as the hero Deku. Put your hands together for Izuku Midoriya. Present Mike's voice echoed through the speakers. Izuku slowly walked onto the ring with crowd cheering excitedly. But there were a few cheers that stood out more clearly than rest. Go baby, you can do it, called out Inko. Come on Izuku, you got this son, shouted Goku. Go Deku, yelled Eri at the top of her lungs. Woo go Deku do, screamed out Uraraka, causing everyone in Class 3A to flinch and jump in surprise from their zero-gravity friend. Izuku rubbed the back of his neck nervously at all the positive he was getting from everyone. Bakugo rolled his eyes. Nice cheering squad, Deku. But it's just you and me now. I've been waiting a long time for this, he said, and instantly powered up, being surrounded by his energy aura. That makes 2 of us, Kakchan, replied Izuku, powering up as well. But Bakugo frowned. Come on, you're not going to use your blonde trick to beat me. I promise, you're going to need it. Izuku smirked as he took up a fighting. If I need it, I'll use. But I don't think I need it just yet. This caused Bakugo to growl with annoyance and was becoming more and more. impatient, wanting for Midnight to announce the start of the fight. He wanted to prove how strong he was right then and now. Midnight noticed the explosion user's impatience and turned to him. Remember not to overdo it, boys. If you're gonna be reckless, take it up to the sky so you don't hurt any civilians. Both boys nodded in agreement, and with that Midnight cracked her whip. Declaring the match to begin instantly, both boys charged each other, going head-to-head, exchanging powerful blows more intense than anyone has ever experienced based on the large, overwhelming shockwaves. Everyone except the Z-fighters lost sight of them. Even Uraraka and Kendo couldn't keep up with them. I'm impressed. These boys know how to put on a show, said Goten, watching his younger brother fight. How the hell can you see what's happening? My quirk is jet, and I rely on speed, and even I can't see what they're doing, grumbled Gran Torino. Nana laughed and slapped her friend on the back. You may be fast, but you're not that fast, at least not compared to these caliber of heroes. The two heroes in training jumped back from each other. Bakugo gestured towards the sky, and Izuku replied with a nod before they both shot up into the sky. Instantly, drones get sent after them to record their battle, but it seems kind of pointless since they aren't capable of keeping up with their speed. Instantly, Bakugo fires a blast at Izuku, which he dodged, but Bakugo followed his blast and launched a punch combined with his explosions. Izuku took the fist into the jaw, knocking him back. Bakugo smirked at the result. Izuku rubbed his cheek with blood dripping from his mouth. He finally turns to face Bakugo, smirking. Bakugo frowned at the way Izuku looked at him. In a flash, Izuku drives his fist into Bakugo's chest. Bakugo grunts and fires a ki blast at point-blank range into Izuku's chest, ripping his shirt open. Izuku cringes in pain, throws a Texas smash at 20% into Bakugo's stomach, sending him crashing into the center of the ring. After a moment of grunting, Bakugo pulls himself out of the rubble and tears of his ruined shirt before powering up in frustration. Enough of this, he yelled, powering up his Gatling gun. Izuku looked down, panting and clenching his chest. He hit me pretty hard, but this feeling in my chest is weird from any other injury I've had. Doesn't matter, I'll worry about it later. Izuku decided not to mess around and end the battle sooner. He quickly activated his instant transmission, appearing behind Bakugo, and launched a kick at 20% into his side, canceling out his Gatling gun, and launched him into the stadium wall with a loud crash. Everyone blinked in surprise at how quick Izuku took at Bakugo, and the stadium remained silent for a few moments before they cheered for Izuku's victory. And the winner of this year's sports festival is Izuku Midoriya, announced Midnight. Bakugo rubbed his head, sighing. Damn it! Did I ever stand a chance against that nerd? The crowd continued cheering as Izuku walked into the recovery and came face to face with All Might. Well done, young Midoriya. You finally did it, the old pro said proudly. Izuku smiled at his teacher. Yeah, I did. I couldn't help but notice you seemed a little bored with your fights, said All Might, looking in the green-haired boy curiously. Izuku nodded. Well, to be honest, there's no one really on my level to give me a challenge. All Might smirked. How about we change that? I think I know the perfect opponent. If you agree, we'll have a match before the award ceremony. Izuku looked at his master in confusion. Who's the opponent? Your father. Goku, outside Earth's atmosphere. The smuggler captain stared at the planet before him in wonderment. So this is Earth. Not bad looking, I'll admit. His first mate stood at attention to his side. Sir, what are your orders? The captain smirked. Deploy teams. Spread the mist and find the child. The sooner we leave, the better. The first mate nodded and gave the orders, and soon a team of smugglers was flying to the lookout while another headed for Japan. Universe 7, planet New Namek. Supreme Kai was growing impatient of waiting. He paced in his spot enough that grass that grew there was completely flattened. Suddenly, Whis and Beerus appeared in front of him. Sorry to keep you waiting, but it was quite the effort to wake Lord Beerus today, spoke Whis. Doesn't matter. Why have you called us here, Kai? Said Beerus in his usual dark tone. Kai nodded and got straight to the point. Everyone here is dead. Not a single life survived, and it would seem that the Dragon Balls were used, but they all remained together in stone. Beerus yawned, scratching his ear, so an entire population of Namekians dropped dead. I fail to see why I should care. Kai clenches his fists. I know you're a destroyer and all, but it's still my responsibility to protect and keep peace over our universe. So if Wiz could show me what happened, I would be grateful. Wiz nodded. Very well. Let's take a look, shall we? Wiz created an orb, and soon there were Namekians being captured by aliens who appeared to be followers of Frieza or King Cold. This confused the two deities for a moment, since there's no one in command of them, until they see red-skinned figure who looks like Whis, but more muscular, and with a different hairstyle. Whiz's eyes widened as they watched the dragon being summoned, then shortly after destroyed. Soon, the Namekians were massacred before the globe disappeared. Beerus shook with sweat dripping down his forehead. Whis, what did Vodka wish for? Whis gulped nervously. He wished for a way to revive Potara. Kai looked at them both in confusion, not recognizing the names they spoke. Why didn't they just wish to revive this Potara person with the Dragon Balls? Beerus frowned at Kai. Your lack of knowledge astounds me. By order of Lord Zeno, no one can wish for Potara to be revived. It is also one of the main reasons time travel is forbidden, with the exception of the Supreme Kai's. Kai blinked in confusion. So then there's nothing to worry about? Oh, but there is Kai. For you see, a certain Saiyan had made a wish for Earth to be protected by its people. Hence why humanity has quirks. It would seem that one particular person has the power perfect for reviving Patara, explained Whis. What? Who then? Asked Kai. The child Goku's son Izuku rescued. Eri, said Whis. We need to get to Earth now, growled Beerus. Universe 7, Earth, UA Stadium. Today is a very special event. We will be having the winner of the third year's Izuku Midoriya go up against an unknown guest in this once-in-a-lifetime exhibition match, announced President Mike. Izuku stood in the waiting room stretching and getting ready for his fight, ready to go hero. He turned to see his girlfriend smiling with her hair tied back in a ponytail. He smiled back at her, standing up as ready as I'll ever be. She walked over and kissed him lightly. Just go easy on him. He chuckled as he gave her a peace sign, walking out to the arena. He walked onto the ring, smirking, seeing his opponent. It's been a while, Izuku. I've really been looking forward to this, said Goku, grinning. So have I. I got a few new tricks just for you, Izuku replied, turning Super Saiyan. Goku replied by turning Super Saiyan as well. Don't hold back, Izuku. I know you got a new transformation, Goku said, which made Izuku pout. Ah, I wanted that to be a surprise. Fine, but you don't hold back either. Dad Goku nodded, turning Super Saiyan blue. Okay, Izuku, your turn. Meanwhile, up in the stands, Chi-Chi and Inko were sighing watching the two. If those two don't behave, they'll destroy the whole place. They stress me out, honestly. Vegeta huffed. I want to see this new transformation the boy has got. Izuku smirked as he began to power up with One for All, helping him do it faster. Goku-ba! He exploded into a light of dark green and surrounded in a green aura. His hair was glowing a green. Goku smirked. Nice. I'm assuming you worked out how to make that quirk of yours become part of a Super Saiyan transformation. Got a name for it? I've been calling it Super Saiyan Green. Keep it simple. Izuku smirked, taking up a fighting stance. Everyone in the crowd was staring in awe and confusion at the two as they did their wild transformations. Goku and Izuku leaped forward at each other with their fists pulled back to start the battle with devastating blows. Both classes 3A and B stared in shock at the incredible power that the two are giving off. It doesn't take long for them to ascend up and continue their battle in the skies, where they can let loose a bit more power without bringing risk to anyone around them. The lookout. Dende's body collapses to the ground unconscious, leaving Mr. Polo shaking in fear. Dende! He calls out, but not before receiving a blow to the stomach and another across the head, knocking him out too. The masked figures chuckled. That was too easy. One of them spoke until a voice came through in the radios. Sir, we found the bottle. One of the figures puts a finger to his ear before speaking. Copy that. You know what to do. I alert the hunter teams that are on standby. Yes, sir. The figures walked over to the edge of the lookout and watched as the blackwater mist begins to swallow up the earth beneath. Hunter teams. The mist has been released. UA Stadium. Izuku continued his offensive against Goku, but every attack Goku dodged. With ease, nice moves, Izuku, but you're a little too slow, said Goku before punching Izuku in the face and bringing both fists down onto his back. Izuku was sent flying down towards the ground, but managed to stop himself and floated to catch his breath. Goku floated down, chuckling once they were both at the same level. But suddenly, something felt wrong, and both Saiyans felt it. Together, they looked down to see a mist begin to absorb the city beneath. What is that? Izuku asked. Meanwhile, down in the stadium, Gohan, Krillin, and Piccolo glimpsed the mist and went wide-eyed in horror. Guys, that's not what I think it is it? Gulped Krillin nervously. I'm afraid it might be, said Gohan with a sweat drop. Everyone, avoid the mist, yelled Piccolo. Everyone who could fly instant flew up above the mist, leaving the few that couldn't. Gohan quickly turned to Boo. Boo, I need you to hide our friends inside you. Boo nodded. Okie dokie. He flew down and quickly turned the remainder of the non-flying Z fighters into candy and swallowed them up. He also did this to 3A and B just in case. What the hell, you bubblegum freak? You turned our friends into freaking chocolate and ate them, yelled Bakugo, ready to fight Boo. Vegeta quickly appeared in front of him. Trust me, boy, it's for the best. Now, can someone explain to me what that mist is? Piccolo sighed and began explaining just as Izuku and Goku turned back to normal to listen. It's the Blackwater Mist. It turns people wild and feral with no control. Yeah, but it was kept hidden at the lookout, added Krillin. Then that means something's happened to Dende and Popo, said Gohan with worry. Then there isn't much time. We need to get to Lookout and find out what's happened to Dende and release the Ultra Divine. Water before 24 hours, otherwise everyone will be trapped like this for good. Spoke Piccolo. Right, Izuku, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, Nana will go to Lookout and get the water. The rest of you try and keep things under control here, said Goku. But how are we meant to do that? We can't do anything without going into the mist, explained Kendo. That's why you use my marvelous new babies? Yelled Hatsum as she rocketed up in a jetpack to the fighters and instantly threw Mask at everyone. Izuku noticed they looked similar to his mouthpiece, but before he could question it, Mei jumped in to explain. I based these on Midoriya's mask. They have state-of-the-art filters and are capable of working for up to 72 hours before they need to recharge. And these wonderful little babies are also capable of helping you breathe underwater and in space. Everyone blinked at her and shrugged, before putting them on with the exception of Izuku, who didn't have one. Hatsum, wear mine, he asked. It's part of your new hero outfit I've been working on. I was watching Avengers Infinity War the other day and I was inspired to make this. It could quite possibly be my best work yet, she sang as she gave Izuku a watch. He blinked and looked at her with a raised brow, put it on, and tapped the button on the side, she explained. He shrugs and does what she saves, and the moment he taps the button, his hero suit starts growing out. Of the watch, onto him, and within a few seconds, his fully hero suited up with his mask and mouthpiece. Holy crap, this is awesome Hatsum. She grinned, proudly. Majority of the suit is made from something I like to call nanofibers. As for the support items like your boots, mouthpiece, and gloves, those are mostly nanobots. This is incredible. I owe you one, said an overly excited, currently fanboying Izuku. Honestly, that looked cooler. Then Gohan Sayama costume, said Goten, admiring the outfit. Gohan poured and crossed his arms. You're just jealous. Bulma never made you one. Enough talking. We gotta go now, yelled Piccolo and took off into flight, with others quickly following behind. And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed well. Until next time, peace.